Many questions still linger around the shocking, unexpected passings of one of the most influential and powerful vocals to sing for the world, Whitney Houston, and her daughter, Bobby Christina Brown. Not only are both passings almost identical and only 3 years apart, but suspicious, as some people worry that it was an inside hit job, all for the want and gain of money and the Houston estate, which Bobby Christina was to inherit after her mother's passing. Join me as we investigate questions left unanswered after Whitney Houston's death surrounding Clive Davis. At the time of Whitney's passing, the inheritance was estimated around $20 million, and another odd twist and concern was that in reality, Whitney's net worth was actually reported as negative $20 million. Despite her success and a $100 million known recording contract with Sony Records, how could that be? But not long after, her estate became worth $40 million and was sadly used to pay off her so-called debt, with only the remaining left to be provided to Bobby Christina. On a slightly more positive note, Houston's estate recipients, due to Bobby Christina's unfortunate passing, has been divided among Whitney's mother and her brothers. They have continued to manage and handle any earnings that continue to come in from sales through companies and partnerships, which would be like merchandise and media enhancements, and it seemed to all stay afloat. Now, the focus stems all the way back to 2007 during her divorce to other fellow music artist Bobby Brown. During this time, she had $4 million in debt and obligations, as well as a life insurance policy worth $300,000 and $225,000 in a stock portfolio, with a reporting estimate of $40,000 in cash at hand. She was known to have owned 2 properties at the time as well, which was a $6.5 million home in New Jersey with a pending $3.3 million mortgage and a $1.2 million townhouse in Atlanta that she had a $1.05 million mortgage. Now, if we really want to be thorough and accurate, she had about $2 million in art and jewelry and a total of $10 million in assets. Now, remember, she is still already at this point at $4 million in debt, so that made her net worth around only $6 million. From the lavish spending and forgetful purchasing due to her substance abuse and mental state, it was reported she was in such rough shape financially, mentally, and physically. She was said to be asking her mentor, Clive Davis, for handouts constantly. Davis allegedly loaned her $1.2 million to sober up and pay off some debts. Over the years, Clive was not making his money from anything really related to Whitney, and she had become more of a failed investment at that time or issue for Davis, as he was constantly actually losing money in regards to her. But after her passing, of course, just 9 months later, her estate was worth $40 million. Her record sales even skyrocketed, as well as benefited from releasing her movie Sparkle. Due to the uprise in sales and interest in Whitney, the estate was able to pay off Whitney's $20 million in debt, and the rest left over was given and scheduled for her only heir, Bobby Christina Brown. Her inheritance was placed into a trust and was planned purposely to be released in increments until she turned 30 years old. Unfortunately, Bobby Christina too had passed. She was only 22 years old. In 2015, her life came to an end during a medically induced coma. She was found unconscious in the Georgia home she had actually inherited also from her mother as well. as being in the similar situation in a bathtub, where it was said, according to Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, she had passed due to immersion associated with drug intoxication. At the time of her passing, she had already received $2 million from the trust fund at 21. She was scheduled to get $2.7 million at 25, and the rest following her 30th birthday. Due to the circumstances with Bobby Christina, the grandmother and remaining siblings were then put in place to inherit and take over the estate. But one thing people tend to forget is that underneath it all, the fact remains that not only did Clive get his money back that he lent Whitney, his business gained what they were owed from her as well, and earned some more with her and her daughter's passing. Some people find this all suspicious and the timing of it all very beneficial to the record company and owner, with Houston's earnings quadrupling in just a few years after. I bring this topic up as Clive Davis has been having his name mentioned often again, thanks to P. Diddy and other sus entertainment news. In an article from April 16, 2022, it was said that during a podcast episode, the at the time 90-year-old Davis detailed the time he was convinced of the merits of hip-hop music by a young man he called Sean Combs, as the world would know him as Puffy Puff Daddy. At the time, Puff was 23 years old. Clive went on to tell the story of how he was so impressed by Sean and Sean's idea of how it should be included in the top 40 mainstream and it would change the future forever. Diddy got his wish done, and Davis instantly saw the revenue it could possibly bring and connected him with label executives who would help execute his vision. He played his cards right. Just a few months ago, this year in 2023, it was announced that Clive Davis will have a documentary on a streaming service in 2024, not just about himself, but his highly speculated and loved pre-Grammy parties that the rich and famous only get to experience. Dude is getting old, and I guess better ride that money flow as much as you can. Clive Davis is said to be at the net worth of $850 million. Clive had recently produced the biopic of Whitney titled I Want to Dance with Somebody, where he confirmed the love affair and rumors about Whitney and longtime friend Robin Crawford. Many think he only finally admitted to this and decided to include it because allegedly he felt he could cash in on the same-sex romance and topic. Robin Crawford herself had written a tell-all book regarding the whole relationship, in which I have read many reviews and a lot of people enjoyed it, stating it was not only very well written but very heartfelt, as she detailed the love shared in the summer of 1980. Going back to Clive Davis, and other things people have found not to sit right was how his pre-Grammy party continued as he was aware of Whitney's passing just above from the party in the hotel room at the Beverly Hills Hilton. In a Washington Post article dated back in February 2012, Jen Chaney discussed this concern. Clive Davis is famous for his work, but mostly in relation to his discovery of Whitney, and that year he was planning on having Whitney be a part of the celebration festivities. She passed just hours before the party's start. Was this really appropriate? Of course, due to the horrible sad news, the celebration eventually turned slightly into a semi-tribute to the beautiful singer. Clive himself led the party to a moment of silence for Whitney. Many didn't know that same evening, Monica and Brandy were to reunite and perform their new song together. At this time, Brandy's brother, Kim Kardashian's ex, Ray J, was on and off boyfriend and lover to Houston. The performance was canceled. Some celebrities like Sharon Osbourne, invited and scheduled to attend, opted to stay home in respect and to grieve in private. Daughter Kelly Osbourne shared in a tweet how open she was with her opinion that she found it totally inappropriate to continue the party at the same location where Whitney's body was. Do you think she was right? Do you think it was more than just distasteful? Was it disrespectful? I personally find it to be a bit eerie how it was the same exact place and building, and for my own personal choice, if I had, I would have stayed home and done the same. Maybe tweet out a simple message of love and respect for the Houston family, and I just wouldn't even mention the party. I wouldn't even want to give it any attention. So, I just found the whole thing disgusting, as he was also to be the major player in Whitney's life and career. Whitney Houston was and still is a star, a beautiful, unforgettable voice that, well, that day should have been left to be silent for her. Not just a moment at a party. The rest of the day should have been dedicated to her memory and peace for eternal rest. That's just my opinion. What do you think? Tell me in the comments down below. I'm Leenda, and that's For the Record, Your Honor.